Next is presentation by SEMCOG update, Kathleen Lomako and Amy Mangus. Hello.
Thank you.
How you guys doing?
We're good. How are you?
Good to see you.
We always enjoy the opportunity to come out and talk to our members, and we're here today to share a little bit about our organization, to present some highlights of our recent planning activities, and most importantly, to talk about our efforts to implement the plans in Macomb County. With that, I want to share with you that we're celebrating 50 years and of the region's local governments working together, and we're presenting each of our member units a decorative tile acknowledging your membership. So I'm hoping that you guys will find a prominent place to display it in recognition of your membership of working with other local governments in Southeast Michigan. So I don't know who I should give that to, or should I leave it here? Oh, so is it on the screen? Okay, great. What's on the screen is a picture of Little Caesars Arena from one of our aerial photography, and the reason we're showing that is that we're having our annual meeting recognizing our 50-year anniversary on June 28th at Little Caesars Arena, and while not all of you are delegates or alternates, I want you to know that you're all welcome, and we'd love to see you at that event. You can read more about that event or any of our activities in a bi-weekly newsletter that you all should receive, and it's entitled Regional Update. Briefly, here's a map showing our members. As an organization, our members are cities, counties, villages, townships, community colleges, and intermediate school districts in Southeast Michigan. And in the case of Macomb County, you're an active member, as well as a number of local communities, as well as the Macomb County Community College and the intermediate school district. The local governments participate in SEMCOG, and as a part of that, they pay membership dues, and they appoint representatives to represent you. And in the case of Macomb County, because you're a large county in the region, you've got 4 representatives, and you're represented by County Executive Hackle, Commissioner Leonetti, Commissioner Carabelli, and the Sheriff Wickersham. You've also got, each of the delegates have an alternate that serve, and the alternates from your county are Commissioner Myjack, Commissioner Kraft, Marilyn Lang, and John Paul Ray. So while these are the people that we have more regular correspondence with and send agendas for meetings, we want you all to know that you're always welcome to participate because your membership is organizational. And so we encourage you to come to meetings that if you see something of interest to you. Also to let you know that feel free to contact our staff for data or information. And the way you can find out about that is through that regional newsletter I mentioned. You're also all welcome to consider joining a task force or committee if there's an issue area that you're interested in. Generally, we do call for participants in our committees and task forces through our regional newsletter, and we often have to also try to recruit members if we don't get volunteers. An example of a task force that's dealing with an issue area right now is our Parks and Recreation Task Force. We've recently launched that group, and they're going to benchmark the system, develop policies, and look at ways that we can implement our planning work. And we've got a number of representatives from the county serving on that task force, from planning and from the health department. Speaking of parks, one of the things we recently launched was a new mobile app, which is called Park Finder. It includes information on 2,600 parks in the region. And not only does it have information on the parks, but the various information on what are the attributes of the park. So shown on this screen is the pullout from the Freedom Hill Park. It's available for free at the Apple Store or the Google Play Store, and it's a case where we needed this information for planning purposes, but we wanted to be able to share it with the residents of Southeast Michigan who are looking for parks and recreation opportunities. Policy direction as SEMCOG occurs at the regional level through participation in our governance as well as task forces and committee, but we understand that implementation requires actions by local governments, and the kind of issues we work with deal with transportation, the environment, and economic development. Our work is all based on a foundation of good data, and while much of this data is available on our website, I want you all to know that you have access to the people compiling the data, and so I want to encourage you to feel free to contact our Information Services Officer, who's shown here on the screen, Stephanie Taylor, because she can provide you with information and sometimes help you find the information that is on our website that you may not be able to locate. Our newest data is our 2045 forecast. We need long-range forecast data to make plans for particularly long-lasting investments like infrastructure, and so this information is the foundation for that work, but it also is used by many in the public and private sector as they make decisions. And forecast numbers are available at the regional level and at the community level, and even at a finer level of detail. I provided each of you a copy of the summary of the forecast for the county, but shown here is an interactive map where you can zoom in and see some additional detail. So if you are interested in, for example, the specifics of your district, you can do that. You can also pull out custom profiles of picking communities, so you can look at your district in greater detail that way as well. Much of our data, as I said, is on our website, and one of the most popular features is our interactive mapping tool, which allows you to zoom in to specific locations. And some of the areas where you can do that are things like employment density shown here, traffic volumes, commuting patterns, both those that are coming into your community on a daily basis or those that are where people in your community are commuting to. And all of this data allows you to look at a very fine level. And so I want to encourage you, we use it at a regional level, but I want to encourage and make you aware that you can use it at a local level as well. With that, Amy Mangus, SEMCOG's Deputy Executive Director, is going to share with you some of our planning activities. Amy?
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Pleasure to be here today. I'm going to start with transportation, and at SEMCOG, one of the things we develop is the region's long-range transportation plan, and part of that is looking at an investment of $1 billion a year and how to prioritize that investment, whether it's roads, transit, walking, biking, freight. And we work really closely with the Macomb County Departments of Roads, for example, to share data. They're partners with us when we share and analyze condition, volume, data to be able to make this plan work. This is a pie chart that just shows for the year 2017 the distribution of the funds in Macomb County at over $169 million and how it's broken down. So you can see that the majority of the funds go for what we call pavement preservation or resurfacing and reconstruction of the roadway, but it also is broken down into transit, safety, pedestrian, and bicycle, for example.
Can I stop you for 1 second there?
Yes.
The 61.3% road preservation, can you elaborate a little bit more what that encompasses, exactly how does that work, who's getting the money? We talking, does
Sure.
it go Department of Roads, City of Sterling Heights, City of Warren?
Right, that's all of those put together. So one example of a project would be M59
Okay.
Reconstruct, which was, I'm looking up the number, $72 million as a part of it. So the in Macomb County and all the counties have a committee that gets together and talks about what the road priorities are.
Right.
So the federal transportation dollars comes into the county for the county roads, but also the county owns the township roads. So they work on projects within the county.
So SEMCOG is a pathway. The federal
Right.
dollars come through SEMCOG, and from SEMCOG to Macomb County and its local
Right.
townships and cities.
Right. And I should have mentioned that as part of that, we have this long-range plan, but we do a 5-year transportation improvement program, or TIP. So we have 5 years of projects that come in from each of the counties in the city of Detroit that is then allocated.
Okay, and if I may, just one more question. What has been the trend of the federal dollars for roads over the last couple of years? Is it stable? You said, what, it was $70 million, I believe you said?
Our region gets $1 billion
$1 billion.
a year. Yes.
Okay, so,
It's been pretty stable, right? Over the.
well, let me elaborate on that. Has that been increasing, decreasing? Is that stable? Trend-wise?
Yeah, I think it's pretty stable.
It's pretty stable and flat, okay, because,
But
you know.
it's not enough.
It's not enough, because, you know, roads is the big issue. Everyone talks about it. Governor Snyder talked about that the federal government has to do more with the federal gas tax. Of course, they can do more with the state gas tax as well. So, okay, that's all. I just want to pick your brain on that. So, please continue.
Sure, okay, no problem. So in addition to the transportation plan, there's numerous other looking out long into the future that we work on. So we've developed plans relating to traffic safety, bicycle pedestrian travel, green infrastructure, and community economic development and economic development strategy, as well as our most recent one on water resources. So I'm just going to go through a few of those really quickly. So we have a traffic safety plan for Southeast Michigan that really looks at how do we improve road safety and guide investment for safety projects. It benchmarks the traffic crashes that we have, identifies problem areas. Some of the data that we have to assist you locally is that we analyze and share the crash data in very usable forms that allow you to zoom in and look at data at an intersection level, and even actually go all the way to the UD10 or the police report forms if you want to really look at a specific area in your community. This shows our updated crash location map. It's all the crashes in the region over the last 5 years. You can sort it by all kinds of factors like the severity of the injury, if alcohol was involved, the age, the time of day that it occurred, and that information's again at the county or at the local level. One of our newer campaigns that we started last year and really we're hoping to even expand on coming this summer is a pedestrian and bicycle safety campaign called Walk, Bike, Drive Safe, and it's an educational campaign. We really think that there is a role everyone plays to increase pedestrian and bicycle safety, both for the bicyclist, the pedestrian, and also the driver. And so that's the education campaign that we're doing. Last year, we partnered with the county at and a lot of the communities for your East Side bike drive at Freedom Hill, and we were able to hand out brochures, but also bike lights, wristbands, armbands, to try and make sure that residents understand the importance, especially of being visible. We also have a plan in the area, as I said, of pedestrian and bicycle safety. And the plan inventories all those facilities in our region, prioritizes the regional corridors and connections, and then we work on strategies to implement that plan. One of the things that we recently have developed, and it's on our website, is a bicycle network map. So it shows all of those different areas, whether it's separated from the roadway or along the roadway, if it has bicycle facilities on it. So for example, you can see that this shows Macomb County, including the Freedom Trail and the Macomb Orchard Trail, for example. One area that we spend a lot of time on, though, is the Iron Bell Trail, and because the Iron Bell Trail really is connecting regional priority corridors anyway, and it was an opportunity to provide funding for missing gaps in that network. And one of those is developing the Iron Bell Trail in Macomb County, and that's utilizing the trails along the Clinton River in Sterling Heights and Utica, and the River Bends Park Trail system in Shelby Township. We're currently working with the county and the cities of Warren, Centerline, and Sterling Heights to connect the trail south of 16 Mile Road. Another program that we work on that helps implement our pedestrian and bicycle travel plan is the Transportation Alternatives Program, or TAP. It's administered by SEMCOG. It's a nice funding source for enhancing walking and biking facilities. Pictured here are 4 projects in Macomb County funded through the TAP program. And really, staff's available to provide technical assistance. We work really well with your planning department, too, to make sure that projects are happening and moving forward, and if there's any assistance SEMCOG can give to the communities or the county on making sure we have projects in Macomb County. So you can see here, there's some that are Mount Clemens, Sterling Heights was a bridge, and that bridge is actually part of the Iron Bell Trail, to road pathways, and then some of the streetscape and safety improvements in Roseville. We also have developed a plan for green infrastructure, or it really encompasses all of our natural areas in our region. It includes parks, wetlands, trees, all together, and talks about the importance of that network. One of the ways that we're really happy that your county used this regional data and said, all right, look at the southern part of our county. We do have pretty low tree canopy in the southern part of the county. What can we do about it? And you started the Green Macomb initiative through your planning department, and I think that's been really successful, gathering additional grant fundings to plant more trees and increase the tree canopy in the southern part of the county. We also work in the areas of economic development and have a strategy for that. We work in the area of, again, community assets and the importance that placemaking plays in economic development. Talent and innovation is another focus area, looking at educating our workforce and connecting people and jobs. And the third is business climate, and looks at expanding trade and investment and growing entrepreneurship. Our most recent plan is our water resources plan, which I think hits home really well in Macomb County. And that plan covers 3 main areas: the importance of blue economy, which includes the recreational element of water to our region in Macomb County, the role of how natural resources helps protect our water resources and the importance of those natural resources. And the third element is infrastructure, the importance of having good underground infrastructure in our region and coordinating that infrastructure. And I think, one of the great things we've had come out of that plan and that discussions is Commissioner Carabelli raised an issue of, hey, we've got a water infrastructure project happening in DeQuinder. Shouldn't we be looking at, if they're going to be tearing up part of DeQuinder for water infrastructure, shouldn't we be looking at the roads and all of the things that need to happen at the same time? And that was an excellent find on his behalf, and we're still working on it. I mean, things take time, but we're moving in the right direction. In this instance, because, DeQuinder's in the boundary between 2 counties, we've got, a lot of different players, but I think we're moving in the right direction so that at least it's a well thought out plan, and it's not one project going in and then a few years later we should have done something with the road while we were there. A couple of ways we're implementing this, other ways we're implementing this is, one is starting July 1st, this is pretty exciting, and when you talk about marketing, I think we're going to be visually mapping the region's water trails and also our land trails for those that are more interested in the land trails. And it's kind of like, think about Google Street View, but on the water. And so in Macomb County, we will be going along the shoreline of Lake St. Clair and the inlets and also the Clinton River, so that we can use that both for planning purposes, but also for people that are interested in water trails and know what is it like, what's it like to be able to park in that area, get my canoe or kayak in and out, and we think it'll be a really good asset for our region. I've also been working with other commissioners and implementing this plan with the importance of drinking water protection, and we have one of our regional policies dealing with the importance of source water protection at the intakes. And I've talked with Commissioner Kraft and Leonetti and Smith about how we make sure we're doing that and that we have a strong program from Lake Huron to Lake Erie, the Huron to Erie corridor, where there's 14 intakes that bring fresh water and drinking water to millions of people in Southeast Michigan. And I think that's really going to be a success story. We have received $375,000 from the state of Michigan to really reinvigorate that program, and we're dedicated to making sure that happens. That doesn't seem like a lot of money, but it's actually enough money for every intake to be able to get one piece of equipment, and that piece of equipment will be able to tell the plant operators quickly if they need to shut their plant down or not, and when it's safe to open the plant back up again. And we've met with every local government along this corridor and the plant operators, and they're all dedicated to wanting to make this a go. So we're hoping that this new equipment is up and running this summer or early fall. We're still in the process of receiving the funds from the state of Michigan, but we're already moving because we want to make sure this gets in as soon as possible. The last one I want to make sure that you know about is right now we have sent out an email that to all of our membership to let them know that there are some funds available for some planning funds. And I have talked to the planning department today to make sure they knew about it, and they did, and they're thinking through their options. But so that you know about it, we have planning funds available that help implement some of these regional plans if more specific work needs to be done. And that's in the area of traffic safety. So say you want to do more regional safety audits on a high crash intersection, or you want to expand that pedestrian and bicycle education program more in your community. Multi-community planning, if you want to do advanced trail planning or an economic development work on a certain road corridor, all of those are the types of things we're looking at for funding. And then finally, in the area of road asset management planning and developing a plan for your roadways. And that is the end for me. I'm going to turn it over to Kathleen to wrap it up. We just have a few more minutes.
The last point we want to make is that we sometimes need help from our state and federal partners, and so we've got a legislative policy platform. It's important that we work with you to make sure that our legislative priorities are aligned and that we can speak for the region. I think we have more effect when we share our positions in a common way. Some of the more recent efforts we've been focusing on are the local government finance system, support for control of invasive species. I know that invasive species is certainly an issue for this county, and funding for infrastructure. As we were talking about in the road issue, clearly there's not enough money for infrastructure, but know that we have been doing a lot of work with the state, particularly we were working on a pilot project related to the governor's 21st century infrastructure, which is designed to figure out how do we manage this infrastructure system in a coordinated way. So we've been doing, combining all the data we have on above ground infrastructure, roads, bridges, with the underground infrastructure to make sure that the issues like DeQuinder Road just don't happen because somebody raises them, the issue gets raised, but that it becomes a part of our daily operation of these infrastructure systems. I think the public expects us to know, and we're trying to make sure that we are a part of moving infrastructure issues forward. So we're working on some pieces of legislation that are going to do that as well at the state level. So in closing, I'm certainly willing to answer any questions. I want to thank you for your ongoing participation. You've been a great partner to SEMCOG. And I once again hope that you will display prominently your membership plaque.
Stay right there.
Okay.
We're going to exchange some things in a minute. So
Okay.
just hang out right there for 1 minute.
Okay, so questions, Chair Smith, did you want to speak?
Is there anybody else that wants to speak?
I need to ask a few questions. Roads again, just to help me understand. So 1 billion was sent to this region. Our region, SEMCOG region, is 7 counties. And you're saying that Macomb County received a total of 70 million?
169, I think, 169 million is
Out
what
of
it
that
said for
1 billion, but that's
2017.
not for roads, is it? I mean, that's what I'm confused. Is it 1 billion for all these projects, bridge, transit, safety, bike paths?
Yes.
I'm just looking
Yeah.
at, okay.
Yep.
So I'm just
Point
looking.
of information, just to make it clear.
Yeah.
The dollars come down, there has to be matching dollars from the local communities and from the counties to do some of these projects. 1% has to be utilized for trails according to the federal government
I
guidelines.
see.
I mean, there's all these formulas that are in there, so you're asking a vague question.
Right.
That there's a lot more detail that
Gotcha.
goes
So the
into it.
$1 billion is not just for roads, it's for many projects.
It's for transportation.
Transportation. Thank you.
And the thing I would encourage you, if you're interested, on our website, you can look at the projects that were programmed and implemented, that you can zoom in and see. One of the things, one of our messages is clearly there isn't enough money. And I'm sure you're all hearing about the condition of the roads. We're hearing about it.
So let me ask this. So 1 billion, and Macomb County received 169 million 2017. So we received, what does that equal? That's 17% then of that. Now, one final question. I've been out there talking about a proposed ballot initiative for 1 mil, which would generate 25 million for roads, for voters to decide if voters chose that. If Macomb County voters voted for something like that, would that mean that we would get more federal dollars coming in, matching dollars?
Well,
At all.
we're spending all of the federal dollars
That
that
we
are
have.
available to us.
Gotcha. So it's not like there would be more available to us, federal dollars?
Right.
Okay. All right, so with that, no other questions, I guess. Commissioner Sauger? You do? Okay.
I'm impressed with the whole dissertation of what you said, and I'm impressed with it, but it bothers me
Dollars.
on the northern part of Macomb, in St. Clair County, you've got a lot of white on your map, which means no membership.
Right.
It's not your fault, but what do you feel has to be done?
Well, it's people that participate in SEMCOG. One of the things is they have to understand that the issues they're dealing with cross jurisdictional boundaries. I think some of our issues resonate more with urban communities, even though we're trying to, we tried to demonstrate different ways that our work impacts everyone. The other thing is, sometimes it's hard to get people thinking about coming and participating in SEMCOG because we're downtown Detroit. It's harder for the elected officials to participate.
One of the things, though, is we are having what we're calling more rural outreach. I think it's May 11th, 12th, and 13th. We're going to, I think, the city of St. Clair. We're going around the region, but probably the closest to Macomb might be the city of St. Clair. But we're trying to, bring those rural members and non-members, if they want to come as well, but together to really understand, because we see that as well, to make sure they understand the value of membership and what we can offer.
And one of the things we've found is you can all help us, that there's nothing like having a fellow elected official suggest that you join, give a testimonial of how they've benefited. In fact, we recently got the village of Ortonville in northern Oakland County. They just called and said, I want to join. We didn't reach out to them, but it was because one of their peers suggested it. So you can all help us in that regard by promoting it, and certainly reaching out to us if you talk to somebody who you think might be of interest.
We do a lot of going out and meeting with people, too. So we'll go out and meet with the rural township and talk directly if they'd want to.
Well, next year on this map, if you show it, I hope there's less white.
Okay, well, I do too.
Anybody else? Don, you want to speak? Go ahead, Don. Commissioner Brown.
Briefly, Amy, it was good to see you both again. You did a good job at the Clinton River Watershed Council annual meeting, giving reports on the work you were doing in the watershed. It was a good
Thank you.
meeting. I got a question about the drinking water monitoring network. Now the local communities there all interested again because someone's giving them money to run the system. They let the last thing fail because they didn't put their own money up to manage the system. Now the state stepped in and give them some more money. Are they going to be continuing to pay their own way this time, as opposed to running in their budgets, as opposed to just waiting for someone to give them the money to do it?
Well, I think it's a complicated process, what happened the last time versus what we're doing this time. And the last time, yes, they were given very expensive, hard to utilize and maintain equipment and without a lot of input. And so they were very happy to receive it, but they didn't know how to maintain it and how to calibrate it, and so there wasn't the buy-in. This time, the way we tried to make it different was we went and met with each one of them last summer individually and the elected officials and talked about, what piece of equipment, do you want to even do this? And if you do, we'll try, but we couldn't even guarantee them we could get any funding. And they said, we don't care if you don't get any. Let's figure out what pieces of equipment we all agree on, and they were willing to go in on it. This amount of money that we were able to get was just an added benefit. As part of them receiving this equipment this time, there is going to be an agreement where it says they will maintain the equipment, calibrate the equipment. We haven't decided for how long, but for a certain period of time so that, that doesn't happen. But I also think we've set really good groundwork so that doesn't happen this time around.
Excellent, very good. If you could send me a summary, for not sure time, we don't talk about it now, but if you'd send me a summary of what the status of that plan, that'd be good. I'd like to look
Sure.
at that and see what that's at. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and your commissioners, your fellow commissioners are really
Yeah.
active as well. It's
Yeah.
great.
Thanks. Thanks, Commissioner Brown. So that will conclude
give
that
me a-
portion of the
give me a brief
agenda.
report.
We're going to get a presentation proclamation by Chair
I have a
Smith.
question for you, too. So
Sure.
I'm going to do a little of both here.
Okay.
First, I just wanted to say thank you for coming out. And I downloaded that app, the Southeast Michigan Parks app. You were speaking then about the bike trails, and you were talking about, is there an app that you guys have, or is there an app out there for that, where you can find bike trails, say you're out?
Yeah, I mean, the water trails are on that same app.
Oh, are they? Okay.
Yeah, and I want to say some of the bike trails are as well. But all of the biking facilities are on, not an app, but online map on our website.
Just a thought, I mean, 'cause
Yeah.
they're out riding, no one's out riding without their phone, and they get to
I know, right.
an intersection, they go, what is this?
Where do
take
I
me?
go?
don't really
Right.
know where I
Right,
can go."
we agree. This, we kind of go in stages. We've never done an app before.
Right.
And then we always start with an online map, we just did this bike one. So yeah, I think
Okay.
that's potentially a next step if this app for parks goes well.
Great.
And we're asking all of the users of our app, if you identify something that isn't right, let us know. This is our first opportunity, but to have other people help us keep the data up to date.
Right. Well, I would say have someone like most of us on the board try to navigate through it first and see if it's user-friendly, because you want it to be friendly to people like, that aren't always on these apps and can't figure them out right away. I mean, they have to almost be idiot-proof, at least for me. So that being said, I'll get on to the next thing. Last month, we approved a proclamation for SEMCOG for your 50th anniversary. And I'd like to present it to you today, so we'll trade a tile for a presentation or
thanks.
proclamation. So I'd just like to say that we're going to present it to Kathleen and Amy today. On behalf of the Board of Commissioners, I'd like to offer SEMCOG congratulations on 50 years of working with local governments located within Livingston, Macomb, Monroe, Oakland, St. Clair, Washington, and Wayne counties. Whew. Can you say, you guys probably have that memorized. SEMCOG offers a great number of great resources and tools to help local county governments and officials, or local governments and officials. They support planning and work to improve the region's water quality, which we just spoke of, enhance safety and efficiency of transportation, revitalize local communities, and encourage economic growth. SEMCOG helps coordinate and improve parks and recreation, green infrastructure, and economic development in the region. And as we spoke of earlier, Mr. Caravelli, a special exhibit at the Detroit Historical Museum called 50 Years, One Region shows SEMCOG's start was in 1968. I hope that's right. And the evolution throughout the half a century to today. So I'd like to congratulate SEMCOG and thank you for your service, and thank you too for your service. And I'll come up and present this to you.
Thank you.
And while he's coming down, we want to make sure that this is permanently put up in front of us.
Yes.
Everybody walks in.
With the baseball cards.
I'll hold that, and you hold this.
All right, you ready? Oh, do I need something better in the
Oh,
background?
we need Elizabeth in the background. That's
Right.
And the Macomb County Commission.
Photo bomb. Okay, Commissioners, we do need a motion to receive and file, moved by Leonetti, supported by Romano. And please vote. Again, thank you, Kathy and Amy, for coming here today.